Most people want the prize. Very few want the process. Everybody loves the spotlight. Almost nobody loves the repetition. That is where the split begins. Winners are not a different species. They just make different decisions on ordinary days. They move when emotion is low. They stay steady when ego is loud. They keep promises nobody else can see. And that changes everything. So let's talk about the 7 things winners do that losers don't. Number 7 is responsibility. Losers spend energy explaining why life made things hard, while winners ask what they can control right now. That question sounds small, but it changes your posture, your decisions, and the speed of your recovery. When you blame everything outside you, your power leaves the room with your excuses. When you own your part, even a painful part, your power comes back into your hands. A loser says the market is bad, people are unfair, timing is terrible, and nothing works anymore. A winner may notice the same reality, but then asks what skill, habit, or move can still improve. That is not denial. That is leadership applied to your own life before you try to lead anything else. If you miss a deadline, responsibility does not mean self-hate. It means you stop performing disappointment and start repairing the broken system that caused the miss. Maybe you promised too much. Maybe you woke too late, drifted too long, or kept pretending distractions were somehow part of work. A winner studies those patterns, like a mechanic studies a failing engine, without drama and without excuses. Think about 2 people who both lose an opportunity. One spends a week replaying how others got lucky, connected, privileged, or favored by timing. The other spends a week improving the pitch, sharpening communication, and preparing earlier for the next opening. 6 months later, their circumstances can look completely different, even though the setback was identical. Here is the truth. Life respects the person who responds faster than they complain. Responsibility is heavy in the moment, but it is light over a lifetime. Excuses feel light in the moment, but they become a mountain you carry for years. So when something goes wrong, stop asking who deserves the blame first. Ask what action belongs to you now, because winners reclaim control before their emotions finish making speeches. Number 6 is consistency with boring work. Losers chase the parts of success that look cinematic, while winners master the parts that look painfully ordinary. The world applauds results, but results are usually built inside routines that would never go viral. A clean desk, a repeated workout, a fixed study hour, one more sales call, another draft. None of that feels dramatic. That is exactly why it works. Most people underestimate boring actions because they confuse entertainment with progress. If something feels simple, they assume it cannot be powerful enough to change their life. But simple done daily becomes rare. And rare behavior creates uncommon outcomes. A loser wants motivation before movement. A winner uses structure, so movement happens even when motivation takes the day off. That might mean writing at the same time every morning, training on a schedule, or reviewing money every Sunday. They do not ask their feelings for permission every single time. They make key decisions once, then let repetition carry the load. Think about the friend who says they will start next Monday every month. Now think about the quiet person who has been showing up 3 times a week for a year. One has better speeches. The other has a better life trajectory. This is why winners respect habits more than hype. They know intensity can impress people for a weekend, but consistency transforms a person for decades. Even talent bends to repetition when repetition lasts long enough. You do not need a perfect system to win here. You need a reliable one. So if your progress keeps collapsing, stop building your life around emotional weather. Build around repeated actions that still happen on average Tuesdays, because that is where winners separate themselves. Number 5 is focus. Losers let every notification, opinion, and temporary urge drag their minds in a different direction. Winners treat attention like fuel because they know whatever gets your focus eventually gets your life. This is one of the biggest hidden differences between average people and dangerous performers. Average people think distraction is harmless because it only steals a few minutes at a time. Winners know distraction is expensive because it breaks depth, rhythm, memory, and momentum all at once. You can lose an entire day without ever leaving your chair. Just keep checking messages, reacting to noise, and telling yourself you are staying informed. Meanwhile, the person who protected 2 deep hours made real progress while you collected mental clutter. That is the trap. A distracted life can feel busy enough to hide from the truth. Winners design against that trap. They put the phone away when they need clear thinking. They say no faster. They leave conversations that only rehearse negativity. They create blocks of time where one thing matters more than everything else. That does not make them rude. It makes them serious. If you have ever ended a day exhausted but strangely empty, focus is probably the missing piece. You spent energy, but not in one direction long enough to build anything solid. A winner would rather do fewer things well than many things halfway with constant interruption. Because scattered effort feels productive, but concentrated effort actually compounds. So here's the shift. Stop asking whether something is urgent enough to grab your attention. Start asking whether it deserves your attention compared with the life you say you want to build. Number 4 is how they handle failure. Losers turn failure into identity, while winners turn failure into information. That difference sounds psychological, but it becomes practical very fast. If you believe one bad result means you are broken, you will protect your ego instead of improving your method. Then every mistake becomes a threat. You hide, delay, defend, and start making your potential smaller so disappointment hurts less. Winners do something harder and smarter. They let the result sting, but they refuse to let it define the whole story. They ask what the failure is teaching before pride can interrupt the lesson. Maybe the timing was rushed. Maybe the preparation was weak. Maybe the goal was right, but the strategy was lazy, vague, or built on wishful thinking. These are painful answers. But painful answers can build a better future than comfortable lies ever will. Think about an athlete who loses a final. One version blames pressure, refs, luck, and says they were never meant for big moments. Another watches the footage, studies the cracks, trains the weakness, and returns stronger next season. Same loss. Different interpretation. Different future. That is why resilience is not pretending things do not hurt. It is staying honest enough to grow while the hurt is still fresh. Winners do not romanticize losing. They simply refuse to waste it. They take the lesson, drop the drama, and move forward with sharper awareness. So when life humbles you, do not build a home inside that moment. Take the message, adjust the method, and keep moving because winners learn faster than losers recover emotionally. Number 3 is the standard of the people around them. Losers choose company based on comfort, while winners choose company based on truth, standards, and direction. That does not mean winners only chase status or abandon old friends the moment success appears. It means they understand environment is not neutral. The voices around you either stretch your thinking or shrink your ambition. If everyone near you normalizes lateness, excuses, gossip, and quitting, that culture will eventually stain your behavior. Not because you are weak. Because human beings adapt to whatever is repeatedly made normal. Winners protect themselves from low standards disguised as loyalty. They love people, but they do not let other people's limitations become rules for their own lives. They look for rooms where discipline is ordinary, honesty is respected, and effort is not treated like insecurity. Sometimes that means finding one mentor. Sometimes it means reading people you cannot meet yet. Sometimes it means spending less time with familiar chaos until your own mind gets stronger. Pay attention to conversations after the room gets comfortable. Are people discussing ideas, solutions, craft, health, and growth? Or are they mostly auditing other people's lives because building their own feels too demanding? That answer matters more than many people realize. Your future is quietly shaped by what your environment repeatedly rewards. A winner wants relationships that challenge them to rise, not invitations to stay soft forever. And yes, that can feel lonely for a while. But temporary loneliness is often the price of escaping permanent mediocrity. So choose people who sharpen your discipline, not people who clap every time you lower the bar. Because winners understand that energy is contagious, and so are standards. Number 2 is patience. Losers want evidence too early, while winners are willing to work longer than their ego finds comfortable. This matters because most good things grow slowly enough to test your faith in the process. Muscle takes time. Trust takes time. A respected name takes time. A real business, a strong skill, a calm mind, and a stable life all take time. But many people quit because they secretly expected a visible payoff before the roots were even formed. That is not ambition. That is impatience wearing ambition's clothes. Winners play longer games. They know the first chapter often looks unimpressive, underpaid, unnoticed, and almost insulting to the ego. They accept that because they are not only chasing applause, they are building capacity. A loser says, "I worked hard for 3 weeks and nothing changed." A winner says, "Good, now let me see what happens after 300 disciplined days." That mindset is powerful because it frees you from the emotional roller coaster of immediate validation. You stop needing every effort to be instantly rewarded. You start trusting the invisible accumulation of skill, reputation, and self-respect. Look at any person you admire deeply. The public usually notices them at the moment of arrival, not during the years of unattractive preparation. Winners make peace with that hidden season. They understand delayed results are not proof that nothing is happening. Sometimes they are proof that something strong is still being built beneath the surface. So here's what winners do differently. They stay with the plan long enough for the plan to reveal its power. They do not dig up seeds every morning just to check whether growth has started. Number 1 is the biggest one of all. Winners keep their word to themselves. This is where confidence is really born. Not from compliments, not from quotes, not from pretending to feel powerful. Confidence grows when your actions repeatedly prove that your own promises mean something. Every time you tell yourself you will wake up early, finish the task, make the call, or train today, a test begins. If you break that promise enough times, your mind stops trusting your commands. Then even simple goals feel heavy, because the leader inside you has lost credibility with the follower inside you. That is the damage most people never talk about. Self-betrayal does not only delay results, it weakens identity. Winners protect identity by keeping small promises before making giant declarations. They do not need dramatic speeches at midnight if they will disappear by morning. They would rather make one quiet commitment and honor it for 30 days straight. That is how self-respect becomes real. If you say you will read 10 pages, read them. If you say you will save the money, save it. If you say you will stop texting the distraction that keeps draining your focus, stop. Not because perfection is required, because integrity with yourself is required if you want lasting momentum. This is also why winners recover quickly after slipping. They do not turn one broken promise into a new identity. They reset fast, tell the truth, and rebuild trust through action immediately. That is maturity. And that is power. At the end of the day, the gap between winners and losers is rarely one giant decision. It is usually a stack of small decisions repeated until they become character. Responsibility. Boring consistency. Protected focus. Learning from failure. Strong environments. Long-term patience. And the habit of keeping your word to yourself. None of these are flashy. All of them are life-changing. So if you want to win more, stop waiting to feel like a different person. Start acting like the person who does not negotiate with what matters. Because the real flex is not talking about greatness. It is becoming reliable enough that greatness can finally trust you with more.